What's up, everyone? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron, and if it's your first time seeing one of my videos, I'd like to welcome you to my channel where we chill and talk about music and all the things that we love or hate. And today, it's that time of year. It's going to be a really sensitive video. It might offend some people. We're going to be talking about my 5 least favorite albums of the year, and this is, I can't stress this enough, 100% just my opinion. Albums I did not enjoy. It doesn't go anywhere beyond that. In no way, shape, or form am I telling anybody to also dislike these albums or that you're wrong for liking these albums. This is just it's just albums I didn't really like. If you happen to love every one of these, then more power to you. I don't, and I'm not telling you to not like them either. So yeah, I can't stress that enough. Some people can really handle it. Some people can't, and if you can't, just remember that, I probably like some music that you hate as well and is also considered trash, and that's fine. So yeah, let's jump into this thing. Coming in at number 5 is Beartooth with their album, The Surface. This album was just really, really boring to me, with their title track song being the best one on it. And as this album progresses, it just continually gets worse and worse. The back half of this album is very formulaic and it repeats itself. Even lyrically, it's basically saying the same thing over and over and over again. Caleb Shomo is just repeating the same message, just nonstop. He's just reiterating it, kind of, and with just like the same kind of song structures, and it's basically the same thing. Their last album, Below, to me was a little bit more enjoyable, although I did give it a negative view also. They just seem to get worse with every album. It's like a trend that they have right now. Every single album that they put out right now is progressively worse than the last. Starting with their debut, which, I mean, it was good. It's not like one of my favorite albums ever. It was all right, but then like the album after that, they're just on a slow decline. While they tend to be making more money off of the albums they're putting out because it's a lot easier to digest. Basically, everybody in the world can get into this thing, I guess, because there's not really anything complex about it. You can play it on the radio as much as you want, and it's just, yeah, something that anybody can get into because it doesn't get too personal at all. And when it does, he basically just says the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I mean, they're making money off of it, which is probably the main goal, but as far as originality goes, this one just is not it. So yeah, I ended up giving this one a 4.2, which honestly wasn't really like too bad compared to the rest of the albums on this list. Number 4 is Asking Alexandria. Where do we go from here? Where I feel like a lot of people could assume this one would be on the list. This is only my second review on this band after I did a review on their 2020 release, Like a House on Fire, which was just unoriginal pop rock. The only good song on this album, again, is the title track, and it's where I feel like the emotion is finally expressed. It's the closing track, so it's like he basically took an entire album to really get to the point, to really finally say something, as like the rest of this album is just lacking creativity. The songs are very unforgettable, unless if you count the moments that make you laugh or cringe. The only thing that's really redeeming in this album is the drum work. The drummer definitely deserves to be in a better band because he seems like he's the only one that cared about this album. He's the only one that tried. Felt like when these songs were being written, he was kind of sitting back thinking to himself that these songs really suck and he needs to really do something to try and redeem them. So he just plays his ass off, and you could tell that he's doing his damnedest to try and keep any listener interested in this thing. So yeah, I gave this one a 3.4. Number 3 is Atreyu, A Torch in the Dark. Again, I feel like a lot of people assume this one would be on there. I just recently reviewed this album, so it's still very fresh in my mind. This album was released in 3 separate 3 to 4 song EPs, which is smart because listening to this thing and just the whole album in one sitting is just absolutely painful. Every song is overproduced. The slow songs, oh God, the slow songs, they're just so melodramatic and they just lack any type of, you just can't take them seriously. They're so bad. The lyrics are absolutely atrocious. The heavy songs sound like Nickelback covers, while the slower songs, the slower, dramatic, emotional songs are more like crappy Hinder or Shinedown covers. I mean, I can't take this album seriously at all. There's nothing really redeeming in this one. It's really hard for me not to put this one at number 1. But I felt like there were 2 albums that were worse. But God, this album, this was definitely probably the toughest one for me to make it all the way through. Those slow songs, I can't stress enough how bad the slow songs really were lyrically. They're the most cliche things most dramatic. I mean, he just wants you so bad to take him seriously. He just can't. I laughed the first time I listened to this album, went through it, and then every single time I listened to it for the review, I couldn't help but cringe. Number 2 is Helmet's album Left. There's a few listenable moments on this album. The riffs are super generic though. The melodies are very boring. The lyrics are lazy as could be. It could have been written in a weekend. They said that they started writing this album in 2019. I get it that, 2020 was really hard for a lot of bands. A lot of people put songwriting in their albums and stuff kind of on the back burner and had to wait. But, I mean, that's 4 years. I mean, what were they doing for those 4 years? Because I know that they weren't writing this. There's no way. I feel like at this point, this Page Hamilton project should basically just be that. He should move away from Helmet and just do something else for a while. Do something else that's more than a cash grab, something that actually gives him passion. I mean, he's singing about like New York punks and stuff and almost 2024, something that's not really relevant anymore. It's so dated. He's trying to like hold on to the past. And I get it that, it's really hard to expect a band that's over 25 years old to, to recreate a masterpiece that they had, like Helmet's first 3 albums really were. And I mean, you can't expect them to do that. You can't expect any band to do that. But there's still bands out there that are releasing music that aren't really, like, it's listenable at least. You can at least take it seriously. And I feel like Helmet completely missed the mark on, or I guess Page Hamilton, because he's the only person that's still in the band. I mean, Stained can come back and make an album that's actually, a positive album. It sounds good. And it's listenable, and it's got some heavy moments on it, and you just can't do it. Yeah, this one was a 3.7 for me. And coming in at number 1, the worst album of the year, The Word Alive, Hard Reset. Absolute garbage. The most generic and mediocre album of the year in my eyes. They said that they listened to critics and fans and the negative things that they were saying, and they were going to write an album that appealed to them more, which makes this even more of a slap in the face. I mean, the name of this album is supposed to represent that they were going to change. It's a hard reset. We're going back to our heavy roots. We're going back to good songwriting. So like, people were hyped. I was excited for this. I was like, yeah, The Word Alive, they're going to write good creative music again. I don't even need it to be heavy. I just need it to be a little bit more, I don't know, like some effort thrown in there for me to really even be able to enjoy it. And what we got were super lame, boring, generic metalcore verses, soaring, boring, clean choruses, these just rinse and repeat breakdowns that had horrible transitions. Doesn't even feel like they fit into the actual songs. And then finishing off on another just crappy, boring chorus. The choruses were super dull. The drums are basically the same exact thing on every track. The lyrics are empty. The breakdowns are forced. Everything that they said that they were going to change actually got worse, which just, it hurt so much more. I feel like this album wouldn't be in the number 1 spot if they just kind of like let it go. But since they said that they were going to, change, they were going to do something different, like all they did was just continue writing bad music and bad songs, and they threw a breakdown in there to try to appeal to people that like breakdowns. And people are even sticking up for them too. On some of my comments I got, they were like, they don't get enough credit because they threw breakdowns in there for the old school fans. And it's like, what are we, 14 still? Like, I know a lot of people think that music needs to be heavy. I get a lot of this where people think I only enjoy music if it's heavy, which isn't true. Because breakdowns were my least favorite part on this, because it felt so just, it was like I said, it's like a slap in the face. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll make bad music, but here's a breakdown for you. So you're welcome. You can thank us later. And it was just so bad. This thing was awful. Hard Reset is hard. No, bro, this is not it. Absolutely the worst thing ever. If you do enjoy this album, I changed my mind. I do think less of you. No, like I said, this is just my opinion. I know people love this album still and they're giving it praise, but I don't know. I can't look past its faults. When I do my reviews, I take a deep look into things. I don't just kind of casually listen to it. I actually try and figure out everything about it. And this one just it's so bad. This was a hard album for me to listen to. I almost rated it as non-listenable, but I at least gave it a 2.9. So there you go. And that is it for my top 5 worst albums of the year. I do have an honorable mention, Crown the Empire, with their album Dogma. I didn't feel like it was really worth mentioning, though. I guess it's a dishonorable mention. But yeah, that one was generic as well, but it did have some redeeming qualities. I just feel like, the others on this list were a little bit worse. But leave a comment below letting me know what your worst album of the year is, or if you have a top 5, 10 list, whatever, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what it is. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like, especially if you want to continue seeing me on your recommended section on YouTube. That's the best way to do it. And also, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be releasing my top 10 favorite albums of the year and my top 5 favorite EPs of the year. So if you want to see those, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon. Doing any of that stuff helps me out tremendously, and I appreciate it more than you could ever imagine. We had a great year, reached 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much for that, and I look forward to next year. And again, this list is just my opinion. So if The Word Alive is your favorite freaking band and Hard Reset's the greatest album you've ever heard, don't hate me too much for hating your favorite band. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time.
I was